Episode 19
Hey.
of the Beyond the Cubicle podcast. We are here. Almost at 20. This is amazing. Today, it is, man. It's amazing. Today's topic, managing change. Change is inevitable. It's going to come. Mergers and acquisitions, management changes, workforce reductions, pay raise freezes, moving cities.
Market changes.
Your market changes, everything. Managing change. That's what we're talking about on today's podcast. As always, grab your pens and your paper, your favorite note-taking app on your smartphone, iPad, or whatever. But first, the intro. Again, like I said, welcome to episode 19 of the Beyond the Cubicle podcast.
It's all good.
Right. Social media. Keep dropping my fidget spinner.
Is that what they call it?
This fidget spinner, man. Social media. Catch us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at This Is BTC. YouTube. Forgot to put this one in the last couple of episodes.
Oh.
YouTube. You got to catch us on YouTube. You can watch a broadcast of this particular episode that you're listening to right now on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search Beyond the Cubicle, and we'll be right there. Just look for the yellow logo. Big shout out to my hometown, Greenville, Mississippi.
What's up, Greenville?
As always, yeah. They play the podcast live on local radio 5 p.m. on Thursdays.
Awesome.
You can go to our social media post and see the the station number and all that. All right. Weekly tip, mindset plus action. As always, mindset plus action is our mantra here. This show is dedicated to those two things and helping you progress your career. We do it with the 4-letter acronym called PIES.
Pies.
And as always, let's hop into it. P is for.
You got to perform.
That's it. I is for.
Got to have the image your organization's comfortable with.
That's it. E is for.
E is for the exposure, who knows you and who knows you positively.
And S.
Spirituality. Without that, the rest of this doesn't make sense.
All day. Weekly tip, man. Do you have anything this week?
Yeah, I watched something. I watched a newly promoted person take charge with a vengeance, and I absolutely adored it. Was working in an organization where I was coaching somebody that had taken charge of a new organization. And they had some of the stuff we talked about. You know, in past episodes, we talked about empathy and compassion.
Right.
But they're a straight-up driver. They go forward, but they don't create ill will. So just because you're results focused doesn't mean that you have to create ill will. And what this person did, walked in a meeting, there was a bunch of different stuff going on that needed to be fixed, and started working on fixing the processes. A lot of times we try to fix the people, but there's a people aspect of something and there's a process aspect of something. And sometimes the people are simply following haphazard processes.
Oh, okay.
What she did, she went up to the board and drew a flow chart of the processes that were there. There were so many redundancies and so many things that were broken. Simply by flow charting the process, she found out where the problems are. I'm talking about a brand new manager.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Now,
Amazing.
Do you think her boss loves her?
Yeah, she solved the problem.
Oh, rock the world. So solve the processes, then look at the people. Can they follow them? But that's definitely a tip if you find yourself in a leadership role.
I'm taking that tip. I'm not even leadership, bro. I'm taking that tip for myself this week, though. All right, let's get into the topic. Let's set this up. Managing change.
Managing change.
You know, when we were texting about, this particular topic, some of the things that initially came to mind for the both of us was if you had the opportunity, or even in no matter where you are, mergers, acquisitions, management changes, workforce reductions,
Ooh.
Pay freezes,
Yes.
Relocations,
Yes.
and things of that matter. Change is inevitable. Change happens.
Yeah.
I think when we had our mindset episode, I brought up the quote from The Rock where I'd have to pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
But it was something to the effect of
It was about comfort zones.
comfort zones are nice.
Yep.
But nothing grows there. And it's such a simple and kind of simple quote.
Yeah.
But man, it's powerful when you really think about it.
Dude, it's real.
You know what I mean?
It's real.
But man, let's as always, let's get right into it.
Let's not scare people, but let's get real and let's just be straight up with this.
Cool.
Change is coming to your life. If you are in a comfortable place, something is going to happen that you do not control that will change your job situation, your workplace. Now, new boss, new reorganization, merger. I said murders and acquisitions.
Oof.
That was more Freudian than I wanted to come out.
Yeah, well, sometimes mergers can be murders.
I have been murdered in an acquisition. Company downsides. I worked in a $billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah.
It ended up in penny stocks.
Jesus.
So that's how bad that thing ran. So all of these things will happen. Disasters will hit a certain industry, and you'll get caught on that. I've had that one fun thing.
Yeah.
Change will happen. However, you do not have to lose. And resourceful people use change as a way to get where they want to go. They are not put off. You go to the ocean and you watch a surfer. The surfer is on top of change. That wave has metric tonnage of weight.
Man.
And that surfer is going to be treated totally different than the swimmer who's underneath that wave crashing in on them. Because the surfer says, I'm going to ride this change up the beach.
Now, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
This topic sounds like one of those, and it'd be nice if I had a little graphic somewhere. But this topic sounds like one of those career/life
Yes.
topics.
Oh, it works on both ways. Yes.
Oh man.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'll give you a couple of things that happen. Can I give you one? First of all,
Let's go.
Unplanned forced change. Unplanned forced change has us relating differently than if we had planned it. For instance, if you're going on vacation, you're the one in charge, right? You're not upset.
Right.
Okay, because you're running it.
Right.
However, if somebody says, look, we're going to move your office 20 miles down the road, you got more of an issue because now it wasn't planned and it was forced. So forced change gives us the worst reaction.
Right.
Okay, anybody that's had anything to do with grief counseling or any of those issues, we run through a cycle. Let me read them to you real quick.
Go.
Shock. This is happening. Denial. I know this isn't happening. Fear. Oh, man, what's going to happen to me? Anger. Oh, this is some stuff. Depression. God, life sucks. Understanding. Well, I guess this is the way it's going to be. Acceptance. I'm not dead yet. Complacency. All right. Let's go.
These are all. This is the cycle.
You get the cycle.
Oh,
now,
my gosh.
I can put it another way. First thing, Eric, we're going to move the office. Oh, man. I'm anxious.
Right.
You put in a new location. Right. How far do I have to drive?
Right.
I got a new boss. Is he mean? Is he good? Is she okay? Is she crazy? Denial. Man, maybe I go to sleep. I'll wake up and pinch myself and be back to my normal thing.
No.
Yeah. Then I've got, I learned what you guys say, as an old head, I'm feeling some kind of way about this.
Some kind of way. Man.
That means it's not a good thing.
Right.
Then I go through fear. Man, this is going to kill me. I get to acceptance later because once I realize it is what it is, now I start to work on a positive reaction to it. Right. But our first reaction to change that we don't control,
right,
is negative. Nobody likes change but a wet baby.
I mean, even change that we do control, like brings a level of anxiety.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's the fear of the unknown.
Yeah. True.
Okay.
True.
So let's look at it in a work context.
Mm-hmm.
Everything changes every single day.
Man,
a new computer program changes your life.
Yeah.
The weather flooded us out. It changed our lives.
Yes.
The kids that you have, you look at them, you think they're in one grade, and you wake up the next year and you are buying sizes that are 2 sizes bigger. And you're like, where did this large human come from? And they were a little bitty thing. It has changed. It's inevitable. They changed our brands.
Mm-hmm.
I lost it in the store the other day. You know, orange juice used to come in 64 ounces.
Yeah, man.
Dude, it's like, what, 59?
Yeah.
Same price?
Yeah.
I'm going to find an orange juice man and just whoop his behind.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
change. Yeah. And somebody next to me said, big fella, it is what it is. So change is coming, like it or not. Now, how you going to deal with it?
Exactly. And I mean, change is one of those things that, you know, like you said, it's the fear of the unknown.
Yep.
It's scary to think about what may or may not be on the other end of it.
Yep.
And I mean, I think that right there is what keeps us sometimes from really taking it head on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In order to understand that, and there's some things that we're going to give you tips on how to manage the change. Mm-hmm. You first have to look at the emotional part of how you're dealing with change. Mm-hmm. Most of us do not like change.
No.
Change alters our comfort zones. Now, my wife, if she hears this, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. But I do this because, you know, I got to screw loose. Mm-hmm. She'll say, babe, take me over here. Now, I'm headed to the mall.
Right.
We're cruising down the street. I am 4 blocks away from the mall. I'll make a strange turn, knowing that she knows where the mall is. She will look at, she doesn't do it anymore. She is so used to me. She has no reaction, but it hurts my feelings. Mm. In the early days, she was like, well, where are you going?
Right.
The mall's right over here. Where are you headed?
Right.
And I'm like, huh? Now, all I did momentarily was introduce change or a disruption in the normal everyday routine.
Right.
It is perceived as a negative. I knew somebody one time that would not take a promotion. They didn't want to change offices. They would not take more money. That was foreign to me.
That's foreign to me.
Absolutely. Everybody's not driven by the same thing.
Man, office ain't nothing but a... Man.
Yeah. Person said, no, I don't want to do that.
What was their reasoning?
I like my life exactly the way it is.
Comfort zone.
Yeah, comfort zones. In order to grow, you've got to change. In order to succeed in the workplace and business, you've got to adapt to change.
I'm sure there's a nice, sweet analogy about trees and and what happens when the seed, gets water or the, you know what, man? Oh, I wish I could remember it right off the top of my head, but no, there it is. My wife was talking about the butterfly the other day.
Oh.
And we were talking about, I can't remember what the context was, but we were talking about something, and she was talking about what happens if you pull the butterfly out too early.
The caterpillar in the cocoon.
Yeah. Or pull the, you know what I'm saying? She was like, the struggle of having to come out of the cocoon.
It's what builds the strength.
It's what builds the strength for them to fly.
Absolutely.
I was like, oh. But they have to go through a whole change themselves.
Absolutely.
To turn into that. And part of that change and coming out is the struggle.
Absolutely. We've got to start seeing change and managing ourselves through change as the only way to growth. Here's the reality, and everybody says it. I love my boy Zig. God rest his soul, but he always said that comfort zones were the beginning of death. You cannot get better. You cannot grow a career comfortably.
No.
You have to change. I mean, for instance, I lived in a different part of the country. I lived in different cities. I said, hey, I'm going to come here, and here's what I'm going to do. And there was a step up. In fact, I've changed cities, and every time there's a city change and a job change and whatever, I got a chance to move up. Because the opportunity is not going to come to where you're sitting. Now, in the good book, it says that God ordains a man's path. It doesn't say he blesses his chair. You got to be You got to be moving to get something. So change is something that lazy people abhor.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
God.
They'll complain, I want more money.
Yeah.
But they abhor change.
Right.
In order to change, you've got to move out of a comfort zone to where you're not comfortable, and that's where growth, development, reward, that's where all the big hits are.
So let's jump into tips.
Okay.
And, from my own experience, right? Like I've been through 2 mergers and
couple reductions.
2 mergers, a couple of reductions, and a transformation.
Yeah.
In the last 7 years.
That's awesome.
Okay. And I've been blessed and fortunate to have stuck around with the company through that, right?
That's because you're Michael Jordan. You can hit free throws.
You know what I'm saying? 90-some%.
Whatever the team is, I want you on my team. That's what's up.
Yeah, but I think the thing that you learn in going through situations where change that is not in your control happens, right? Is you have to accept, one, that you didn't have the control, but also just accept the change, period.
Absolutely.
You have no choice.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yep.
So, because after that, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
That thing happened. I'll go back to what we said when we were talking about mindset. You got one day. You got one day to sulk, to curse, to
complain,
to kick a concrete wall, to pull a LeBron and punch a whiteboard. You know what I'm saying? You got one day.
Yep.
And then after that, it's like, okay,
that's what you're gonna do.
Now, how can I make this change work in my benefit? Whether I am going to be moving to another group, whether they're going to transition me outside the company, all right? You have to make that change work for you. So how are you going to do that? Exactly. But first, you have to accept the change.
And accepting the change, getting to acceptance means we are going to go through those steps. It's okay to be in denial. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be like, this can't be happening. Those steps are going to happen to everybody and may happen on their own time.
Right.
So you may go through the same change I do, and you may get through it faster. Please don't look at me and say something's wrong with him because he doesn't get through it as fast as me. We've all got to go through it. But no growth happens until you get to acceptance and understand it is what it is.
So what would you say after we accept the change? Then what should we do?
Once you start accepting the change, now you build your strategy. I was in a company that was downsizing. This one guy kept moving up. And I knew him really well. And I didn't think he was smart enough to know how to do that. He was I'm like, how does he get promoted while everybody else is getting laid off? Well, he had found the sweet spot about what they were looking for. So as they were laying off people in some organizations, they were pitching him to come work there. He never accepted the fact he was going to get laid off. He says, I've got what they need. So he would say, he's pitching their leadership, those VPs, hey, I can do this, this, and this. While they're laying off other people, he's selling himself.
Right.
He says, hey, by the way, you can even downsize more if you get me, because I can do this 4 or 5 times better than they can. And I was angry, man. I'm looking, everybody's getting laid off, and he's moving up. I'm like, how does he get promoted while everybody else is getting laid off? Because he wasn't worrying about the layoffs and the change. He says, I'm going to work this system until they catch me.
You know what's crazy? Even through, I've never been worried about it either.
No.
But I think my reasoning for that, for me, has always been about going back to like our previous conversation about what we should be focusing on.
Right.
And when it comes to our motivation, right? So my motivation has always been, I want to acquire skills and knowledge for the long term because that proves to be more valuable versus just trying to jump around for paychecks and titles, right?
Spot on.
So it's like, I guess a part of building your strategy is, okay, when change happens, okay, how much time do you have?
Yes.
Can you acquire knowledge or develop a skill in that amount of time? If you're going to stay on with the company, same thing. If you feel like I might be in this second tier, hey, it's time to step it up. All right, you might be getting a package, or they just might straight up lay you off with a few weeks of pay.
Absolutely.
Now, I am going to have to move on to another organization. What can I learn here in the next however many weeks?
Yes.
Right? That can position me for value at another spot, or
Absolutely.
even within the current organization if I stay on.
Absolutely.
So I would say that's part of the strategy too.
And how can you grow from that?
Yes.
How can you grow and develop? Years ago, I ran the training division for a major airline, and 9/11 happened. Well, when that happened, anybody that's been in the field knows that training is going to be the first thing hit. But I wanted to have developed a relationship with so many people by the time that we were done that people knew who I was. You kind of know if you're in my field, it's going to go up and down based on the economy and whatever, and that's okay. And that's the choice that I made. So I'm expecting change to happen.
Right.
Now, the blessing was, and I know it's the guy upstairs, I always give him credit for it. The blessing was I made so many connections in that position for that airline that by the time that was done, and after 9/11, the airlines cut heads and did what they had to
big
do
time.
because they lost everything. But I had enough connections in other fields where I was not an unknown equation. They said, hey, this guy can do this, 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 and this. So building back to something you mentioned in earlier episodes, build your knowledge, skills, and ability so that when change happens, you have something to bring to the party.
Absolutely.
The cute girl's going to get a dance no matter what party it's in.
Right.
I don't know if that was the right analogy, but hey, I just... it came to...
You know what's funny, though?
What was that?
This past week, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine. They were leaving the company. And they made that same remark. And, I'm not getting promotional opportunities, but one thing I do notice,
Yes.
there are no ugly people in this group. and I looked.
And you said, absolutely.
Because this was a young lady.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, that exists. That exists. Oh, absolutely.
I was like, oh.
That exists.
And I was like, oh, you know what? It's like, I haven't like just intentionally paid attention to that. But then when they said it, I'm looking like, oh. Well, yeah, I guess you're right.
There's another whole episode and podcast
Hey, man.
on that one. Hey, you know what? It's not fair.
No.
But here's the reality.
Fair is a 4-letter word, though.
We don't even use that, fair. We say, how do you use if you're going through a neighborhood and you're lost,
Yeah.
and a bunch of kids are there, you will go to the biggest kid and say, hey, son, how do you get so-and-so? That kid could be dumb as a box of bricks.
You're right.
Yeah, that kid could have a minus IQ, but you made an assumption.
Right.
So when we let fair go because assumptions do get made in the workplace, and whether they're fair or not, once again, it is what it is. It doesn't mean that it limits you.
Right.
It just means you got to plan your game around that.
Right. So accept the change.
Accept the change.
Build a strategy.
Absolutely.
And then, did you say something else after that?
And then kind of be prepared to go at it for the long haul.
Be prepared for the long term.
For the long haul, yes. We're such a microwave generation. When something changes, I want this and this to happen. I want it to happen this fast. Go at it for the long haul.
Man, I think that's something that a lot of even us who have kind of been you've seen a number of presidents before I was born. Right. But I think that happens because once you're living in the current culture and you're still in the race or whatever, sometimes we adopt the current culture's attributes or just the way that they see, right? At least on some level. So I think like the microwave generation of it all, of the microwave aspect of today's society, is something that we all have to combat. Especially when change happens, especially on a corporate level. Man, it turns into
it's wild.
What about me? You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's my turn. You know what I'm saying? And we want things to happen right away.
Oh, if you want to get stabbed in the back.
Accept the change, build a strategy, be prepared for the long term. You have to you have to overcome your fears.
Oh, most definitely.
You know, and I think when I'm saying this, I'm thinking more about life. When it comes to this, right? So change happens. Here's a personal story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my wife and I have had 2 lovely kids prior to March of 2018. Okay. Our kids were 16 and 8, you know what I'm saying? Or 17 and 8. And, you know, we were kind of like rolling along like, oh, you know, 2, we got 2. 2's going to be enough. Yeah, we got all these plans and da-da-da-da. And sure enough, last summer, you know, hey, we're pregnant. Oh, we are, huh? Okay. You know what I mean? Again, although you do the things that could possibly make that change in your life happen, right? You don't always expect it, but it happened. And it was just like, okay, what do we do? Well, we knew what we were going to do and that type of thing. But then it's like, that's a change that we weren't necessarily expecting. And after you go through a few weeks of, man, I can't believe we pregnant again. And we're about to have a 3rd kid. And, you know, I'm about to be 38. And it's like, okay. Then it's like, okay, done. My fears of having another small child in the house have to be put to the side, right? And you just have to suck it up and like, let's roll. And
you got diapers in your house, dude.
Hey, man. And when I say that this kid has been so remarkably chill,
yeah,
and just a blessing to our family and our life, it's crazy. But my point, exactly. But my point in saying that is, you know, that was an unexpected change.
Yeah.
And so many people can carry the fact that change occurred and end up turning into a negative.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, nah, like kids gonna get here. Fine. Life still has to go on. We still got stuff we got to accomplish. We'll figure out how to move it. You know, we'll start setting this stuff. Yeah. It'll kind of slow us down here, but maybe we can ramp up and make, you know what I'm saying? You work on making things work.
The resiliency of human ability is more than we give it credit for.
Right. Shit. Go.
People are absolutely amazed at what they can get done. But I want to leave one thing with you. Mm-hmm. And this comes from the S part, the spirituality part.
Right.
And it's something I carry with me dealing with change or anything in business. It's found in Psalms 37, 23 and 24. It says, the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, may have a problem.
Right.
He will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. And the thought is simply this. In your business, you're going to have challenges that you've never considered or thought of before. Mm-hmm. But when I believe that I've got that higher power there to catch me, I go through change totally different.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the answer, but I believe it's going to be okay.
That's it. Change.
Dude, that's it.
Episode 19 of Beyond the Cubicle podcast. As always, we'll see you on the next episode. Catch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at This Is BTC. We're out.